Hello, and welcome to the Virtual Internship and Job Search Navigating Remote Opportunities webinar. My name is Emily Kobrock. I'm the Assistant Director of Internships and Career Advising here at the Career Development Center on the St. A's campus. And we're just going to briefly discuss how the job and internship search has changed with the pandemic and COVID. And we're also just generally going to talk about what it's like to conduct an internship and job search and some helpful tips and tricks. Let's get started. So one of the most important things to remember about the internship and job search is that it can cause some anxiety and it can be stressful for people. So it's okay if you're having those types of feelings. One thing that you'll want to remember is that it's a changing landscape, especially right now. And so there are a few things that you can do to position yourself to be in the best possible situation. One of those things is coming up with a game plan. So you want to narrow down the positions that you're interested in pursuing. If you're unsure about that, absolutely reach out to one of the career advisors here in the CDC. We would be happy to help you navigate those different career options. Once you've determined some jobs or industries of interest, go ahead and set up a job agent on one of the hiring sites or job boards that you're using. It's important to do this for a few reasons. One, if you're just starting out the job search process or you're not quite there yet, but you're kind of getting organized, this can be a really great way to keep track of what's out there and how the field is changing and just kind of learn a little bit more about the industry you're interested in. But it's also really great if you're actively in the process because these job agents will actually push jobs to you in notifications such as email that these types of jobs are being posted. And so you don't have to do as much work to keep track of all of these different job boards. They'll actually tell you when certain jobs are being posted and that kind of thing. So it's really helpful in that way. And then the next thing you want to do is research organizations and industries that are in high demand or that you're really interested in. Research is a really important part of the job and internship search process. And it's also possible that these organizations are looking for multiple positions in multiple professional areas. So it's really just good to know what's out there. So in addition to the traditional job boards, you also want to look on social media. When you're taking a peek on social media for different jobs, you want to make sure that your social media is in the most professional format possible. So you definitely want to clean up your social media when you start to do this type of a job or internship search because employers will definitely be taking a look there and it reflects your brand. So you've worked really hard to create this brand for yourself. You've formatted your resume and created really excellent cover letters and you've got great references, but part of that is actually what your presence is like on social media. And it actually goes beyond LinkedIn, which I'm sure you've already started to create and really build up. So just keep that in mind as one of those steps in the process of the job and internship search. And then you want to go through and think about the most recent experiences you've just had. So as a junior or senior, you were a current student during the transition time last spring semester when we abruptly went remote. Think about what it took to adapt to that kind of a situation and think about that in terms of your skills and knowledge and how you could apply that to your professional life. And then also think about the different platforms that you became really familiar with that maybe you weren't before. Things like Zoom, Google, Skype, Canvas, and Canvas conferences. These are all software systems or they are platforms that are really important to employers, especially now. And so thinking about how you can incorporate that into your professional documents, but also talking about it in an interview process or something like that can be really helpful. Then engage in virtual networking events or opportunities. So think about how you could do a virtual networking event. Check out LinkedIn, but also look on Handshake for any of those virtual events that you might want to attend, especially during your quarantine time. This is a really great time to interact virtually with perhaps an employer event that is being hosted through Handshake, and it can be helpful when you're in that job or internship search process. And then further your industry-specific knowledge through free online classes. Again, during this quarantine period, it could be a really great opportunity for you to check out HubSpot or LinkedIn. These are just a few of the places that are offering these specific classes for different industries, and it could be a really great time to get some knowledge under your belt, but also perhaps a certification. So one thing that's really important to do during the job and internship search process could be informational interviews. So one thing that you can do when you're getting ready to do an informational interview, or perhaps find someone who you'd like to interview, is using the Alumni feature on LinkedIn. If you open up your LinkedIn page, you go to the search bar, you type in St. Anselm College, go ahead and go to the St. Anselm College LinkedIn page. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a few options. One of them is going to be alumni. If you click on there, you're actually going to be able to filter through about 13,000 alums, and you can really filter by whatever you'd like, location, keyword. This is a great way for you to find alums that are maybe living in an area you're interested in, working at an organization you're interested in. You can also find unique and different names of positions that you can then put into a search bar in a job board, and you might not have known about these types of positions previously. Either way, you're going to get a list of people that you could connect with on LinkedIn, and you might also want to think about doing an informational interview with them, asking them a little bit about how they got to where they are and what they're doing, and what it's like to work at a certain organization. This is all really important for you to know, but it's also working towards building your professional network and really reaching out to people who want to help you, but could also be helpful in the future. Also, you want to participate in both proactive and reactive job searches. We'll go over that in more detail in just a minute. And then, as always, ask the CDC. We're always here to help. We want to help you, and definitely feel free to let us know what we could do to help. So, the job hunt to-do list. We are going to go over the difference between proactive and reactive job searches in just a minute. This is just a cute little graphic. So there are two different kinds of job searches. You're probably most familiar with the reactive job search. It's the most popular, and it's when you are reacting to a situation in your life. For example, you are graduating from college and so you need a job. And so you're reacting to the fact that you're graduating and it's time to find some full-time employment. So you're actually going to go to these job boards in a reactive job search. You're going to be looking for positions. Perhaps the organization comes second. You're looking more for positions of interest that fit your needs, and then you're filtering out any positions that are at an organization you wouldn't want to work at. So it's the second line in your to-do list. And then you are often doing this using job board sites, so things like Indeed and Handshake. A proactive job search, you start a little bit earlier. So instead of reacting to the fact that you are graduating, you're actually thinking, okay, a few months down the road, I'm going to graduate. I know that there might not be specific jobs posted right now, but I'm going to do some research and I'm going to think more about organizations I'd like to work at. So you select a few organizations that you're interested in, do some research on them, see what they're all about, identify resources who work there. So poke around their website and see what they're all about. So think about mission, about us, but then actually look at different departments of interest. For example, if you're interested in working in HR, go to the organization's website and find the HR personnel. Go through and, if you can find them, see who works there. Maybe they have a short bio about them on there, and see if you can identify any people that you think could be a resource in the area that you're interested. Build up your network. So if you do find people that you think are going to be helpful or you'd like to learn a little bit more, you can go ahead and look them up on LinkedIn. Doing the proactive job search, you can also find resources through that alumni tool. So if you find an organization that you're interested in, you could then type it into the alumni tool and see who's working there, who is a CNA's grad. That's another way that you could find those resource people. And then you can conduct some informational interviews if appropriate. There are multiple levels to the proactive job search. So if you're just starting out, you're definitely going to be just gaining some information and doing your research. But as you know, from start to finish in the job search process, research is really important. You're going to need that for your interview process as well. So make sure you keep track of all this information. I would suggest opening up a spreadsheet, figuring out a few columns and rows that you want to put in there, what's really important to know and keep track of, and then you'll have all of this information going forward. So here are a few of those job boards that you might use in a reactive job search. A little bit more on the proactive job search. So I had just chatted about finding organizations of interest. So with a reactive job search, your main focus is going to be those job boards, but with a proactive job search, when you're conducting that research, you're going to be using not only the organization's website, but there are also some really great resources that can give you a quick review on an organization. One of those, or an industry, one of those is Vault. It's actually free to you. It's one of the different resources we have here in the Career Development Center, and you can access it through Handshake. So if you log right in and go to the resources section of Handshake, you'll be able to log in. It'll also give you all of this login information there as well. You can browse through companies, and you can also browse through career resources and industries. So this will give you a really good idea of maybe an industry you're interested in, but it will also give you and debrief a little bit on companies. And so this is, again, a really good resource for you as you're doing the research for that proactive job search. And then don't forget the trusty Google. So if you're really just not sure where to start, you can just do a quick Google search, and you could think about best tech companies in Washington State. Maybe you want to work at a tech company, but you want to live in Washington State. Go ahead and put that in a Google search and see what you get. You might find some really neat organizations you didn't even know existed. And then maybe something that's really important to you is work-life balance. So when you're going through and researching these organizations, think about what it's like to actually work there. Perhaps you want a really good work-life balance. Try throwing that in a Google search and see what kind of results you get. And then another place you can go when you're researching organizations is Glassdoor. You'll be able to read reviews on there, and you'll probably get a good amount of information. One thing to remember, though, is people who are going to review an organization, just as we know with a lot of things on the internet, if they have a negative experience there, it's more likely that they're going to post their review. So make sure that you're looking at those Glassdoor reviews with a grain of salt. Don't have this be your number one reason why you might not go further with an organization. All right, so you found a few places. Now what are you going to do? You've identified the organizations of interest. You've begun to collect your contacts and think about who works there and who you might want to add to your list. From there, you're going to actually create a target list of contacts. So these are people who you might want to connect with on LinkedIn, or you might feel would be helpful in that informational interview process. So my recommendation would be using LinkedIn for the connections and the target list process of your proactive job search. Again, that alumni feature is really helpful. So once you've identified those organizations, either through LinkedIn, the organization's website, maybe you did some research on Vault, you you've created your list of target individuals who could perhaps be helpful in this process. Now you can actually reach out to some of them. And when you reach out to a person for an informational interview, you just want to make sure, and it's here in bold, you want to make sure that you're not asking someone for an internship or a job for this informational interview. The purpose of your outreach is really just to learn more, create a connection. You know, you're expanding your network and you're learning more about the organization, what it's like to work there, what it's like to have a full-time job or potentially an internship position within this organization. So this is all really important information for you as you go forward. So reaching out to people on LinkedIn or even via email can be tricky and it can be nerve-wracking. So here we have an email template that you could use, or even a LinkedIn message that you could use. It's important when you're connecting with people on LinkedIn, you have the option to put in a message. I would definitely suggest doing that because it will give you that opportunity to introduce yourself. If it's an alumni, they really do want to help you and they're excited to speak to students. So definitely, I know it's nerve-wracking, but try not to be too nervous. To start off by addressing them, you always want to be as professional as possible. So dear or good morning, and definitely be formal. So Miss or Mr., tell them what year you are, you're at St. A's, that's that connection that you have with this person. Then you can say that you saw that they also had attended St. A's. You want to learn more about their path from college to their current role. Ask for help. Again, people really do want to help and they really like helping. So if you ask them for help, you want a little bit more information, you know, you're really starting to begin this potential job search for post-grad, or you're really looking to maybe narrow in on your next internship. Ask for specifics. So let them know that you'd love to chat and hear their perspective on their industry, but because it's COVID, so typically we might have said, ask them if you can grab a cup of coffee, because that gives them a good idea of how long the conversation will last. People might not want to commit to something if there's no clear end time. So asking for a cup of coffee was always a go-to, but now just ask if you can set up a Zoom or telephone call at their convenience. And then be specific and considerate and give them an estimated time of how long you think the phone call will last. They want to make sure that they can fit it into their schedule as well as yours. And then I always say thank you. So that's the brief overview of proactive and reactive job searches and how things might have changed with COVID and everything being much more online and virtual now. Again, if you do have questions, definitely let us know. Schedule an appointment with us on Handshake. We'd really love to help. And if you'd like to contact us, you can always contact us with our general email, which is careers@anselm.edu. And then if you haven't logged into Handshake before, you can just go right to Handshake, put in your CNA's email address. It'll prompt you to create a password. Go ahead and do that. And then you should be all set. If you have trouble logging into Handshake, again, reach out to us. We definitely troubleshoot Handshake situations, so don't be shy. And then absolutely follow us on Instagram. It's a great way to stay connected. We put lots of great tidbits out there, good information, and so definitely give us a follow. But yeah, thank you for attending our internship and job search webinar. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope to see you around campus. Bye-bye.